All right, guys, so welcome to today's video. We're going to switch things up a little bit, but we're going to cover a topic that a lot of you guys can probably use, and that is roof topping your kayak on something that doesn't necessarily have a huge roof, and it comes with a factory installed roof rack. So the other day, I pulled up to the gas station, and this young man right here, who I now know as McLean, and his young lady that was his car mate at the time, and this is May, we're sitting in their car and his gas tank cap lid was popped open. I didn't want to be like the guy that they see in the rearview mirror jacking with their car, so I kind of like knocked on the window or waved and got her attention. They rolled the window down. I was like, hey man, your gas cap's open. I'll close it for you. I just don't want to creep you out or whatever. He's like, yeah, that's cool, dude. And I pushed the gas tank in, the gas cap. So I go in the store and I come back out and he rolls the window down and goes, dude, are you Chad Hoover? I was like, yeah. He goes, bro, I'll watch your videos. So anyway, and I noticed the roof rack and I said, bro, I just happened to have gotten a product in from the folks at Suspends, and because of the way my roof rack's set up, I don't really have a use for it, and because our kayaks are so big and wide, or we just throw them in the back of the truck. If you're interested, man, I've got this J-Cradle roof rack from the folks that, he's like, cut me off. Absolutely, dude. So here we are. I've got McLean and May, we'll call them M&M from here on out, and we are going to install this Suspends J-Cradle set up on their car. But what they did is they showed up with their Riot kayak already on top of the car. Before I do that, I want to run through with you guys how to properly tie down a kayak on your roof rack, because this is really as important as whether or not you're using this J-Cradle. So the first thing you want to do is you want to take your strap, right? And you don't want to take the buckle and put it on the other side and then throw it over, because that buckle, even with the pad, can knock your window out. So what you want to do is put your straps around, walk around the hood of the car, throw your back strap over first, your front strap over second, that way they don't get bound up. Then you want to take your tag in, you want to bring it around and put it in your cam buckle. Now, you can use cam buckles, but don't use ratchet straps. You can also use ropes, and when they showed up, they basically had their kayak. Do you have the rope real quick? Yeah. They just had it tied down with ropes, which is perfectly fine. If you've got ropes and they had some really good NRS straps, that's really all you need. But I want to show you how to tie down a boat. You want to make sure you get 4 or 5 twists in your straps, otherwise you're going to end up with a roaring roof rack. And then what you want to do is you want to put this buckle right about the chine line, and then you want to make sure your little pad is behind it, and then you want to just pull out kind of most of your slack. When you get to this point right here, this is the critical part, and this is the part that I think people overdo. I want you to get the camera right here so you can see right down that bar, and I want you to watch just with a little bit of pressure when I hold this strap how much that boat compresses. Now, if you do that with boats that have scuppers in them, when you compress that boat, you're putting all that pressure, you're almost trying to force that scupper to pop out on one side of the boat or the other, and that's how people get a lot of cracks in their scuppers. It's not as big of a deal on a mono hull sit inside like this Riot that they have. But what you want to do is, before you tighten this thing down, I call it give it the finger. You want to get your finger behind the strap. What that's also going to do is allow you to hold the strap to keep it from moving when you start to apply pressure, and then you just want to cinch it down until it's just taut enough that the tip of your finger turns blue and you can pop it out. Now what you want to do is you want to go around the bar, and you want to go around the strap, and you want to come in behind both straps like so. What you want to do is go around the bar so that the strap is on top of strap, and then you want to come around behind the straps like so. And a lot of people do the loop knot here. I like to do what I call a lock knot first to get it nice and locked, and if you notice, that actually brought the boat down a little bit more and tightened that strap up even a tiny bit more. Now, if I've got a roof rack that's mounted to the vehicle, the next thing I want to do is go around the roof rack portion. That way it's like a little bit of extra insurance. So that's called your lock knot. This one's called your loop knot. So this is where you make a loop in your half hitch and you cinch it down, and this is how you get rid of your slack. Just now do 2 overhand knots just like so. Then you can tuck this tag in behind the strap again. Now it's nice and clean. You're not going to have a lot of strap flapping and slapping and making all kinds of crazy noise. And that, my friends, is how you properly tie down a kayak on a roof rack flat. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get these J-Cradles installed. I'll show you the options for different configurations and how to tie down a fishing kayak or a recreational kayak with a J-cradle roof rack. So that way the carriage bolt grabs it right there and it can't spin. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna put these cradles on the bottom, washers, and then these knobs, and tighten it down, and should be ready to go. So let's just grab a piece, and start working on putting them on the boat, on the car. We'll just flip her right yonder on the ground. All right, so while I get this roof rack installed, McLean's helping out, I want to do something that I don't normally do, which is to ask somebody like, why do you like kayaking? So I'm going to pass the mic over here to this young lady. So May, do us a favor. Tell us what it is you like about kayaking. What do you like about it? What makes you want to go kayaking?
I love kayaking because you just are out in nature. That's
all right, cool.
That's just a testimony to God's faithfulness. Like, you look out at the clouds, at the sky, at the trees, at the water, and none of those have to respond to us. They are a testimony to God, who's making all that work without our control. I love what Job says at the end of Job, where God's responding to him after he's like went through all of this suffering, and Job's like, well, why, God? And God's like, well, where were you? Where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? Where I built the cornerstone? And like, where were you when I orchestrated all of this to happen? And I think whenever I go out in nature and I'm kayaking and just on the water, I'm like, God, I wasn't there when you did all this, but I'm so glad I get to be here and see all of your creation. And it's just such a testimony to the God I get to serve, because he allows the sky and the clouds to look like this, and I don't have to do anything about it. I just get to praise him for it. So that's why I love kayaking.
I genuinely have 0.000 to add to that. Like, wow. Amen. That's all you can. With such an amazing answer, I'm going to queue up another question while we finish putting the roof rack on. Well, while I finish, because he's already finished. So were you guys already kayaking when you met? When did you meet? Actually, tell me your story a little bit. Lively, get over here.
So me and McLean have went to school together since we were in kindergarten. So we've, 5 years old to, graduating high school, we both went to Priceville the whole time. Our freshman year, we started dating, and we've just always, our first priority in our relationship has always just been like seeking the Lord and encouraging each other to seek the Lord. So all through high school, we served in our youth band, and just like we're always leaders in the youth group. And then leading to graduation, we graduate, we have really two friends who we're doing stuff with still, because all of our other friends are gone off to college. And so from those two friends who we started dinner with on Thursday nights talking about Jesus, we continued that tradition every Thursday night and just started adding people. And so we went from 4 people meeting every Thursday night to 20 plus meeting every Thursday night, and just talking about the Lord and just growing together in fellowship, because community matters so much in relationship with the Lord. And so we're meeting with our Bible studies. McLean gets a job leading worship at a church, so we're leading worship at City Church in Decatur, shout out City Church, and we're getting the opportunity to lead this Bible study every Thursday night. And it's just truly been a testimony to God's faithfulness in our lives, because when you are obedient to God, when he gives you small things, then when you continue in obedience, he will give you greater things and greater influence, and give you the opportunity to just share his faithfulness and just continually grow in your life. So yeah.
And he'll even make you leave your gas tank popped so that you run into a redneck who has a YouTube channel at a gas station. And you know what's funny? What was the first thing I told you when I said I got this rack over text? I said it's a God thing that we ran into each other. Yeah. I didn't know how much of a God thing it actually was, but I literally said that. So thanks for sharing that. It's crazy how even guys my age don't have that courage of conviction right now. So it's crazy how powerful it is for young people these days to have this resurgence of being emboldened. So, wow. A J cradle, a roof rack, and a popped gas tank. Pay attention to the stuff that's going on around you, because God's going, psst. You just got to listen. All right, guys, we got the J cradle installed. What's cool about this J cradle is you can actually pop these levers on the side and unlock it, and you can lay it flat. So just like he was using the boat when he brought it here, he could tie it down to this flat, but has these nice rubber supports to keep it from sliding around. But what we're going to do is we're going to show how you get the real benefit out of a J cradle, which is to pop it up, match the angle of the other one. Then we're going to throw the boat up on here, which allows you to get the boat up on the side. So if you get two sets of these facing away from each other, you can have two boats in a space where you'd normally have one. And if you want to take a friend, you can actually throw a third boat on its side in the middle, tie three boats down with two sets of racks. So now we're going to throw his boat back up there and show you guys how to tie it down. All right, brother, grab the other end of that boat and let's throw her up there, just like so. All right, so one thing I'll tell you is it's pretty cool when there's two people and it's really easy, but I'm going to show you a trick. If you take a towel, go under your roof rack, fold it over, put your window down and roll your window up, it'll protect this part of your boat or your car. The easiest way to load a kayak by yourself is to bring the nose up in the center, use the roof rack to guide you sliding it on the side, and then once you get it up there, turn it into your rack. What that also allows you to do is not have to have a giant parking spot. If you're at a boat ramp or a public launch, you can load from the side. So it's also something you have to think about when you're parking, is how you're loading and unloading. If you're by yourself, always try to leave one side of your car open. Right. All right, so now that we got the boat up there, here's some things to think about. You want to make sure that you've got plenty of boat where it's hitting. With a boat like this, you don't want your slide box for your skeg, raising and lowering, sitting on the bar. You don't want that bar to potentially want to drop into the cockpit. So what I would do here is I would scoot this back, just like so. That way you got a little bit more bite on the front of the cockpit. And with a sit on top, what you really want to do with a sit on top is you want to put it on there sideways and try to have a row of scuppers on one of or both of the bars. That's going to give you that little bit of extra support right where you're tying the boat down. So now we're going to tie it down. All right, guys, just like in the previous tie down, you take your strap that's going to go on the left and go over the boat, keep a little tension on it so it doesn't get twisted, and just kind of walk it over to where you're going to tie it down. I'll pull your slack up to where you can reach this buckle. You don't want to make it where you can't reach it, about like that. You want to come through your rack underneath. For a little extra security, if you want to add an extra wrap, you can, but I'm going to leave enough slack to go around his main roof rack. So what we're going to do here is we're going to get this cam buckle going. I'm going to pull that through like so. And again, you want to go through the J cradle first. What I like to do with these kind of racks is hold this strap and bring the top strap over the top of it like so, so that when I'm pulling it down, see how that wrap is wrapping itself, so it's creating like a friction lock. Again, you want to be able to get your finger behind there so it's not too tight that you end up warping the hole. Give it just about an extra 1/4 of an inch. Now you're going to want to come around the rack like so, do a half hitch, or what I like to call the lock knot. So you do the half hitch like so without leaving a loop in it. And then if you're going to tie around your roof rack, you can. If you're not, what I like to do is split my straps before I do the loop knot when I don't have it tied directly to the rack. So split your straps, come through like so, and then what you're going to do is you're going to make that loop knot like so. What's happening here is when I tie this knot, not only am I getting rid of the slack, but I'm splitting the strap so that that lock knot is even tighter. Does that make sense? So what I'm going to do on your setup though, because we're going to tie this off and then you guys are just going to take off and go kayaking, is I'm going to come around the main rack like so. So I'm going to leave myself a little extra slack right here. So now not only am I tied down to the roof rack, but the roof rack is tied down to the car. I'm going to come behind this again, do another lock knot. Now I'm going to do my loop knot like so, split my straps, and then I'm going to tie my overhand knot. That's a lock knot, lock knot, lock knot, and then I'm going to do another overhand loop, and then I'm going to tack my tag in and stick it behind the strap. Repeat that exact sequence for the back strap, and you'll be ready to go. Now, one thing I will tell you that is kind of optional, it's debatable depending on who you listen to, is guidelines. So before we got started, I had McLean pop the hood, and I just actually attached this guideline to the latch mechanism for the hood. You don't want to have this attached to your valance, because if you ever get where the situation where the boat has to move, it might rip your valance off. So tie it to a hard point, a tow shackle if you have them, or pop your hood and attach it to the rack, to a hard point, bring it up, and then just go in and attach it to your front handle and take up your slack like so. And then you don't want this to be super tight, because if you make it super tight, you're going to warp the hull. All this there is therefore is a visual reference that your boat is still secure and that it's not turning on you. And then you do the same thing on the back, hook it to your back handle, hook it to a tie down point, hook it to a hard point on the back of the car, cinch it down, tie up your slack, and you're ready to roll. So I don't know if you're old enough to remember back in the old MTV days, but this guy named Exhibit used to pop the collar of the people after he was finished with their car. So I didn't really overhaul your car, but you guys are, as corny as that is, y'all are now ready to roll to get your kayaks on the water, and more importantly, be able to take extra kayaks, so it makes it easier for y'all to kayak together, spend time in God's creation, and invite somebody else to go with you. So y'all do me a favor, comment in the comment section. Let me know if you think anything that we said here is wrong, anything you can offer to the conversation. And I also want to hear y'all's comments in the comment section about May's testimonial. What do you think about that? What do you think about that courage of conviction?